What's up, gamers? Red Dragon here, and we are covering the latest news on VGN. Got some interesting numbers coming out of Ubisoft. They put out their financial report, but the numbers tell more than just about Ubisoft. So this kind of speaks as, you know, the gaming scene as a whole. You can take a few stories out of this one. So first off, one noteworthy thing is that Ubisoft says in the first quarter of sales, 36% of those sales were made up of the PlayStation 4 titles, while Xbox One made up 17% of that. So you take those numbers and it looks like PlayStation is selling twice as many copies of games, at least for Ubisoft, than the Xbox One. Now, whenever you start breaking down the actual numbers for games, of course, the big title that Ubisoft had was Watch Dogs that came out. So that was a big system seller. That was a big seller period for this past quarter. And Watch Dogs did very well. They sold 8 million copies. They say if you break down the sales of that, PC only made up 10 to 12% of the total sales. So if you take 8 million and you break it down by 10% or 12%, you can see that PC still hasn't even reached 1 million sales as far as that particular game goes. And a lot of people, there's certain things that they may point to as to why that's happening. Maybe it's because some people got upset at the downgraded graphics of the game. Some people don't like Uplay, and then some people pirate the games. So how much of that is to what? Who knows? But whenever you look at PC players who get upset because they feel that a lot of console games get more love than the PC, whenever you look at the sales from these companies, you can probably understand why that is, even though I think that's going to be doing away with more and more as we move along, as games become more similar to post up on the consoles and the PC because their structures are a lot more similar now. So I think those lines are going to start to fade, but whenever you look at the sales, you can understand why consoles are still so important whenever you have companies like this making up the majority of their sales on the consoles. And the other bit of good news for next generation consoles, whether it's PS4 or Xbox One, is that they sold twice as many copies of Watch Dogs for the next gen than they did for the previous gen. So over PS3 and Xbox 360, those sales were well outweighed on the next generation platforms. So that is good news all the way around. If you want to break it down even further, you want to look at digital. They say 70% of the sales for PC were made up of digital copies, which means 30% were made up of actual physical copies. So there's still a crowd for that. And that story is pretty much reversed on the consoles, whereas only 10% of console users ended up buying Watch Dogs digitally for the PS4 and Xbox One. The rest were all hard sales. So there you go. You want to read more about it, latest news on VGN, links down in the description box. And whoever made this game type for Watch Dogs, they must have been doing some pretty good drugs at the time. That does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.